There's actually 4 named Asians unaccounted for, and I'll leave you to decide which one you think it might be, if any. Ah, there we go. Is everyone able to hear me all right? I can't tell. Yes, hello. I'm starting to regret doing this on a single monitor. In that case, allow me to adjust the volume a bit. There we go. There. Hopefully the piano isn't overwhelming now. I don't know, Gavin. I've never properly streamed before, so this is going to be an experience for all of us, to be certain. I can use my phone to read chat? Isn't technology amazing? No game audio in that case. There. Excellent, excellent. See, I'm already learning things. We're only just getting started. 2 minutes in, and I've already figuring out things to consider for the future. So, ladies and gentlemen, and all those in between, thank you for joining me on my first ever live stream, or personal live stream, today. For those of you that have been around with the channel for a while, you already know that I've live streamed for the previous LunarCon and EtherCon conventions, but this is new. This is just for us. If any of you wish to join me in-game, you can find me at the Druthers over in Cell Shroud on the Midgardsimer server. Other than that, I'm kind of just here to enjoy the evening with you all and reflect on all the stuff that we have gotten to see over the past expansion. I've been wrestling with the script that I've been writing for Alexandria over the past week, mostly because it feels like I'm having to, I don't want to say walk around eggshells, but I certainly feel like I'm having to be careful with how I address certain topics because, good lord, there is a sizable amount of the community that did not pay attention to what the NPCs said during the MSQ, so I'm trying to be careful. Can the Warrior of Light beat Goku? I would argue no, mostly because Goku is just written to be the kind of person that just... Goku has dedicated his entire life to combat. And don't get me wrong, the Warrior of Light from a lore standpoint is overpowered in the world of Final Fantasy XIV. I don't know. I wouldn't say that he's the kind of guy that's going to beat up a guy that's literally constantly improving in his own universe. No, the Warrior of Light would absolutely deck Krillin. That's not fair. Be nice to Krillin. Oh man, you're getting all the. Watching DBZ growing up as a kid was like magical. Like as a kid, I loved watching Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. Just because of how crazy and like over the top the fights and screaming was. But I can say confidently now, as an adult who has studied storytelling for too many years now, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z aren't the best written stories. Not even close. Like Toriyama was an amazing artist and knew how to design characters and settings and things that absolutely just grabbed your attention and kept you in your seat. I will never take that away from Toriyama. The man deserves to be remembered for all that he gave us as far as art, gaming, and animation goes. But I would not say he was a story crafter. Oh, man. Seeing all these characters with quest markers is unusual for me. Especially since I'm not used to not having done everything already. Why are there so many perverts in Dragon Ball? Because that's Japanese humor. Simply put, Japan is far more desensitized to the idea of erotic humor than we are in the West. And that goes back to when we were a kid. That still holds true today. Because Roshi uses my first ever stream, and Dragon Ball Z has already overtaken everything. That's just. Are you proud of me, Toriyama? I'll carry on your torch, my friend. Goku's never kissed Chi-Chi. Yeah, Dragon Ball Super is weird. I'm not even gonna say that. But back on... Yes, JR time. Back on topic. Back on track. So, we certainly got to experience a lot with patch 7.1, haven't we? Between the Final Fantasy XI raid and all the events in the MSQ, there's certainly a lot to go over. So much so that I've hit a bit of a data overload. I can't say I know exactly what to go over first when it comes to all of that, personally. I could just as easily dive into my theories on Final Fantasy XI as I could with all the stuff happening in the MSQ. Hello. Galaxy Denma. I assume you're part of the stream, my friend. If so, why are you sitting at the other table over there? Get over here. Start from the beginning. Sure. I think I'll start with the Final Fantasy XI raid, because I feel like that's the easiest to cover. So far, when it comes to everything we've seen in Final Fantasy XI, that raid series, a lot of people were wondering what the heck is going on with its involvement in 14. Like, is it its own universe? Is it the Final Fantasy 11 universe crossing over into ours? Stuff like that. And personally, based off of the data I've collected so far, I can safely assume that the Final Fantasy 11 actual universe is not what we're seeing here. Mostly because there's way too much meta humor in everything that we're seeing. I have my theories of what's actually happening and why all of the characters are acting the way they do, but I suppose I could save that for a video. Oceana DC meetup. True, we could go to the Dynamis servers if we really needed to, I guess. Ugh. Dynamis servers, I swear. Or Dynamis in general. Ugh. Goodness. But no, yeah, let's do that. Let's go somewhere everyone is able to participate. Ether is full. I find it remarkable that Ether is full with all the stuff that's just been going on in general surrounding Final Fantasy 14. But hey, go figure, right? Endwalker has harmed my opinion of a lot of things, unfortunately, for better or for worse. Here. I'm going to have to... There we go. Gonna be transferring to another server. Can't have y'all seen my actual character now, can we? That would just ruin the magic. Well, not yet, at least. Maybe a mask off video or something at some point. Let's see, what would be a good server to go to? I feel like Crystal would be fit to burst with all the roleplay going on over there. Let's see, what servers were y'all saying? I think someone said Primal would be a good option too. Ah, another lore game show. Actually, that's the funny thing. I was supposed to do one before at EtherCon, but it kind of fell through. Primal is also full. Screw it. Dynamis it is. Dynamis, Seraph. That will do. I can't see anyone going over here. Maybe I'll just start wandering the Dynamis servers instead. Oh, like crouching tiger, hidden badass kind of thing, Yuki? Well, honestly, from a like if I was to imagine the scribe as a character uh in universe, I like to think that the biggest advantage he has over other people or creatures is that he knows a whole lot about other jobs, powers, and abilities. So he already knows a lot about them, but since he stays masked up and robed up the entire time, they know nothing about him. They don't know what he's capable of. And I feel like that's the defining uh, thing for him. Like, because how do you fight someone when you have no idea what they're capable of? Alright, so where am I going? Ah, screw it. Let's go to one of the starting zone taverns first. For those interested, I am now in Dynamis server Seraph. Hi. This table is mine now. I'm taking it for myself. So many people, so many things. God, I'm really regretting not having a second monitor. Yeah, does anyone have like a internet-friendly RP venue or a house that I can raid? I joke. I think that bard was playing Baby Shark. I think so, yeah. Hey, how's it going, buddy? Ah, now people are starting to show up. Whoa! Ninja. If I could retell Gridania's story... Okay. Gridania was done dirty on multiple levels. Mostly because they only ever really focus on the bad things the elementals have done and never... They need to focus more on just what the elementals don't do. Because what they have done is a lot of things that help not only Gridania, but Eorzea as a whole, but surprisingly, the writers never talk about that. Gridania is constantly, like, dragged through the dirt with, oh, the elementals are terrible and horrible, and they never actually tell their story properly. So that's what I would like to see, if anything, from the future. Is there a delay, Gavin? I can't tell. I do remember when Gridania was hedge maze in 1.0. Oh, that was a time. That was an absolute time because, like, for those who don't know, the area surrounding Gridania... Will you stop shaking that infernal contraption? But the 1.0 Gridania was just a massive grid. And it was hilarious to go through. Mostly because you couldn't run through it without aggroing all the mobs. Huh, that's funny. Everything says that it's fine on my side. I wonder if there's anything I can do to fix any potential delays. Stream health. Yeah? Server says everything in the stream is healthy. Let's see. Uh, looks like there is no delay turned on. I don't know. I guess that's just something I'm going to have to research later, unfortunately. But see, already have all these cool people staying around. Look at all that. Squeak the coyote. The fact that they named it Squeak it feels like an in-joke. Hey, Etho. I recognize that name. Yeah, I wouldn't know, Gavin. Mostly because I've only ever worked on YouTube, so if this is normal or not, I don't know. I have no context. Ah, yes. We do need to make money, don't we, Aiden? Well, do what you need to do, my friend. Make all the money necessary. That is a shiny effect. Every time I've tried to buy one of those cute little statues for myself and add it to my little collection, they've always been sold out. It sucks. Yeah, I'm using OBS on the YouTube connection, so it could be a YouTube thing. Who knows? See, we've already got a decent amount of little people here. That's great. Yeah, the emotes that you get from those little statues are cool. Though, if I am being frank, one of the things that I wanted, say, like the Ultima the High Seraph statue for, is because you get her lore card. And that little card tells you more about the High Seraph than anything in the game or books. Which is embarrassing, by the way. Why do you have to buy a statue to learn what the High Seraph is? That's so obnoxious. What's the rule for spoilers in 7.1 here? If you're watching a lore YouTuber stream, you should come into the stream understanding that spoilers are probably going to be a topic. Like, I would strongly recommend catching up on whatever you need to catch up on before participating in a lore tuber's stream, personally. Yes, huge spoiler alert. If you're here and you're scared of spoilers, why are you watching a lore tuber stream? What? I mean, I'm not that I'm unhappy to see you, but good lord, it feels like a lapse in judgment has been made at some point. My opinion on the Endless, and be as hot-blooded as I want. And the new dungeon lore. Well, honestly, we can talk about all those things involving Alexandria, if that is what you all desire. So, the Endless. I understand that when the story for Dawntrail originally came out and everyone got to experience it together for the first time, there was a lot of contention about bringing down the servers before fighting Sphene. Essentially, I am going to be very, very blunt. When I was told that there were a noticeable amount of players in the 14 community that thought that we were committing murder or a genocide, I thought they were joking. I thought they were pulling my leg. Because I thought, there's no way people think that. The NPCs straight up say that the Endless aren't alive. That they are just memory ether stimulated by soul energy. Like, they straight up explain how the Endless work. There's no way that many people weren't paying attention. And then when I called them out on it, I'm like, you're trying to pull my leg. I'm not going to fall for it. They showed me the timestamps. They showed me all of the, like, tweets and Reddit threads and all the stuff involved saying that, like, the Warrior of Light was a horrible person and that we were killing all these people and that we're, like, murderers. And I was flabbergasted. I did not know how to take what I was seeing. Mostly because it just flew in the face of everything that the game had told us about the Endless and how the Endless worked. So personally, my opinion of the Endless is just, they are exactly as the story says they are. They are constructs. They are simulacrum. They are memories being simulated through energy of foreign means. And the reason that people in the Final Fantasy XIV universe don't consider memories to be alive is because the standard understanding of life, something being alive in the 14 universe specifically, is the presence of a soul. Things that lack souls aren't treated the same as things that do. Mostly because when something that lacks a soul dies, it kind of just fizzles out. It disappears. Without a spirit, there is nothing to perpetuate or mark its existence. And that was part of the reason back in Endwalker with the Ancients. The entire reason they didn't mind or didn't care when certain research subjects needed to be dealt with is because they are just simulacrum created by the power of the Ancients. So, like for instance, let's say you create something with your own power, right? You create something with your power, and it's an extension of you. It's a part of you because it came from your energy. How are you going to convince someone that it's alive? Especially when all of the properties of being a living thing are properties that you yourself gave it. How can you say something is alive if you're the one that wrote the script? Like, if I create a wolf and I create the wolf with all the same like bells and whistles that all wolves have, like strong sense of smell and hearing, works with a pack, howls at night, and stuff like that. Well, it might seem like a wolf because I made it work that way, but that doesn't necessarily mean it is one. I simply created it to act like that. And that's how the Ancients saw everything. And the Endless are the same way. They are the memories of people that are no longer alive. And if anything, the existence of the Endless is much more sinister than I think people give it credit for. The Endless, in order for the Endless to exist, the souls that are taken to power the system are essentially enslaved. Any soul that dies under the dome is essentially trapped inside. They cannot reincarnate, and they are turned into fuel for either a person's soul cells living in Alexandria or energy to create the Endless. Now, does that sound like a fair system? Especially when your eternal soul is the thing that allows you to come back to life over and over again? No. Like, the Warrior of Light and the Scions and everyone involved were right to turn off the servers that were perpetuating the Endless. Not only because it ended the false dream of those who were no longer alive, but it created the opportunity for the souls and soul energy that was perpetuating that system to start breaking free. You're not wrong that it's disgusting when compared to what Athena was doing. Mostly because what the Alexandrians are doing with souls within just under the dome is not too dissimilar from what the Void Sent do. Think about the Void Sent story post Endwalker. They cannibalize each other in order to gain new power, to perpetuate their own existence. The Alexandrians are doing that with their regulators. With every soul cell consumed, they are cannibalizing the energy of another soul to essentially keep themselves from dying. A soul that could have returned to the ethereal realm and potentially become someone else at a later date. What happens to the life stream if souls are not allowed to flow through it? The void. That's what happens to it. Like, real talk. The void is exactly what happens when souls are not allowed to do as they are supposed to do. Because life in the Final Fantasy XIV universe, or at least on the world of Hydaelyn, is moving. It's in constant motion. It's in a cycle. If that cycle is not, if that river of energy is not allowed to flow, it stagnates. And when it stagnates, you get the void. I would say that how the Ascians viewed us is different than how we view the Endless. Mostly because the Ascians recognized that our souls are lesser than they could be, but they still recognize that we have souls. The Endless have no souls. They are just perpetuated memories. So whenever, like, Emmett Selk said, like, I do not see you as alive, ergo it's not a crime if I hurt you, has most to do with the fact that he recognizes that you are a shadow of what you could be. And why stay as a shadow? Alexandrians... I will say that I agree to some extent with how Alexandria and all the characters involved were written. Mostly because it feels like... how to explain? Whenever a character in the MSQ essentially says that, the Alexandrians simply see life differently than us, it's a cultural thing, and I kind of just want to sit up and be like, no, It's not a cultural thing. They are literally stagnating the etheric cycle. They are causing an active problem for the world. Why are you trying to pretend like this is just an isolated incident? This has nothing to do with cultural differences. It has everything to do with the fact that souls are being enslaved. Even the Ascians didn't mean to create the void. It kind of just happened when they were trying to perform the rejoinings. Oh, G7, it's to do with the mist. Yes. Which makes sense, since this expansion is the Final Fantasy IX expansion, simply put. Why they were doing that in Final Fantasy IX was essentially trying to kill everyone off in the world so that all of that potential energy could be used to grant new life to a civilization that was already essentially dead. And they wanted to replace their world with it. I reject your reality, therefore I substitute my own kind of deal. They were trying to do that in Final Fantasy IX. And essentially that's what they were trying to do here as well. Alexandria was essentially saying, look, we value our people and their memories more than you and your lives. Ergo, it's okay that we kill you and invade. I mean, as nice as a person Sphene presented herself as, from the very beginning, she was not only lying to the Warrior of Light, but actively condoning the harm to innocent people. So, she is a villain. Sphene is 100% a villain, no matter how much you like or dislike her. Oh, there we go. Get a little bit more comfy right there. True. As Sphene clearly had a conflict of interest, Sphene the person, I doubt would have been okay with everything that Sphene the Endless was doing, which is why she kind of tried to rebel against her programming at a few points in the MSQ, but as you can see, at the end of the day, she could not entirely resist what she was compelled to do. Which is why she still fought us to the very end. She saw it that way. Her programming was to save the lives of all those under her care, or perpetuate the memories of all those under her care. And she couldn't do that so long as we were alive. Thoughts on the cliffhanger? I'm going to be very honest here. I was upset when the MSQ for 7.1 was over. I kind of sat there, like, annoyed. Mostly because the story was just starting to actually get good. And then suddenly they're like, well, MSQ's over. Hope you had fun. And I'm sitting there going like, no. No, I didn't. You wasted my time with a cat boy's trauma dump. Not that his backstory with Jacques Toural wasn't good, but his entire backstory felt like side quest material. It didn't feel like MSQ material, if you get what I mean. I thought it was very strange that, like, the moment we bring him over to the tribe, over in Chatural, right? We bring him over, and we're trying to reach an understanding with the tribe. They're all like, hey, our buffalo are our lives, and we can't just do whatever the train wants to do. And it's like, okay, fine. And he talks to them and is all like, well, we're here to work with you and get a better understanding of what you need so that we can all get what we want. By the way, did you know that my parents abandoned me as a child? Holy crap. I got lore whiplash from how the conversation suddenly just went from trying to reach an amicable understanding to let me dump all of my baggage at once. And the fact that, like, he'd only just now spent all this time with the Hetso, and like, we spent less than a day with the Hetso, and he was sitting there screaming that he would die for them, and I'm like, really? Is that all it takes for you to want to, like, give up your life for someone? Huh. Oh, man. No, I thought that entire side story, like, it's not that it was bad. It certainly read off like this could have been an email kind of thing. Which was really annoying because I really was excited to see where the story was going when the fake Fiend came on screen. Oh boy. Alright, so let's see what y'all have to say. What are the thoughts? How do I feel about how the Alexandrians process death? They're sheltered. They are literally sheltered. They have been living under a misconception of how the world works for 30 years. They have lived with the comfort of knowing that they have extra lives, that they don't know what it means to struggle in the world outside the dome. So I can't exactly say I feel sorry for them, mostly because to feel sorry for them would be to devalue the struggles of all the people outside of Alexandrian society. Like, take people in Doma, for example. At this very moment in the story, people in Doma are rebuilding their entire civilization, their culture. Like, as these and they don't know if all of their friends and family that got conscripted during the Garlean invasion are going to come home. Nothing is set in stone for them. Meanwhile, over in Alexandria, the very idea of not living to a long age with all the luxuries that Electrope affords made those people go into a nervous breakdown. So it's hard to feel bad for people like that when everyone else in the within the world of Hydaelyn has it so much worse. Oh man, it's like trying to. It's like listening to the rich kid say that, oh, my dad only bought me 2 cars for Christmas instead of 3. And you're looking at the rich kid like, your dad bought you a car? So no, but there is one thing about the Alexandrians I do feel sorry for. I do feel sorry for them because clearly they have been conditioned to think and feel this way. The system that Alexandria has clearly was designed to make their citizens dependent on them. So, in a way, they're kind of like just the blind leading the blind in a sense. They don't know any better because no one has told them any better. They are ignorant of just how good they have it. And that's the only thing about the Alexandrians I feel sorry for. It's like I feel sorry for their own ignorance as far as the story is concerned. My dad bought me a car, but it wasn't the color I wanted. Exactly. It's that kind of mindset. It's like, oh, I can't believe this. What a cruel world. Meanwhile, everyone else is like, are you kidding me? I would love a free car. You're not wrong, J.R. Time, because conflict is the catalyst of change. People, like for example, why do we get food? Why do we get food? Not just because we need food to survive, but because we become hungry. We can feel a need, we can feel a desire. And that conflict, the conflict of not having food, informs us to go get it. That's a problem with an easy goal. If someone goes their entire existence without any conflict, they won't know how to handle obstacles when they actually come at you in earnest. Which is what we kind of saw at the very beginning of the 7.1 story with the guy that came back to Tuliolol and was having a hard time adjusting outside of the luxuries that Electrope affords, which is good. I can't wait to see that explored further, if I'm being completely honest. I kind of hate how near the end of 7.1 Sphene appears and it proposes to everyone to become endless again. So you might be Yeah, Wuklamot was correct for immediately calling Sphene out and saying, like, that's not how Sphene thinks. What were you Who are you? Yeah, that's totally it. What if Sphene at the... She was Galolja's mom's soul. That would be funny. It would definitely be something I didn't see coming, if I'm being completely honest. What would have happened if the media got their hands on the Alexandrians? Oh, their system would have fallen apart immediately. Are you kidding me? Like, if just the idea of not having extra lives sends an Alexandrian into a panic, then the final days would have they would have fallen like a house of cards. Like, no joke. They wouldn't have stood a chance. Who is the fake Sphene? So, the important thing to remember about this fake Sphene is that at the end of base Dawntrail, we got that one pan shot of her crown, which I believe is her regulator. Yes? Her regulator would have come pre-packaged with all the memories and knowledge stored up over her time as an Endless. So, anyone who has the regulator, with the right technology, could produce a new Sphene. And essentially, because she's an Endless, because she's a robot, they can program the new Sphene to give her new directives. Kind of like how the Sphene we encountered was programmed to perpetuate the happiness of her people. Well, this new one could be getting new directives. And that's what I think the fake Sphene is, personally. This fake Sphene is someone using her regulator to essentially push a new paradigm. Who is doing that and why? Well, we're just going to have to keep playing the story to find out, aren't we, my friends? Which one is Sphene's heartless and which is her nobody? We are not getting into Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts. Just thinking about the world building, the lack of world building in that entire franchise gives me hives. Any theories for the 7.3 boss or no theories as of yet? When you say 7.3, I assume you mean the Final Fantasy 11 raid. I wouldn't be shocked if some of the summon spirits actually became bosses in the next instance of Final Fantasy 11 raid. But I think it is safe to assume, though, that the final fight in the Final Fantasy 11 crossover event is going to be Promathia. Promathia, I would be shocked if it's not Promathia. Though I have been wrong with that before, because here I thought that the Savage version of the 8-man raid series back in Shadowbringers with the Eden raids was going to be Ultimecia. And yet it wasn't. So I've been wrong before. When it comes to deciding final bosses, I have missed the mark. Absolute virtue. The thing about absolute virtue is that, I mean, yeah, we already have him in the Eureka Baldessian Arsenal run. So who knows? Yeah, you're right. You're right, Shade. It does have the extreme plane when you fight her, but still, though, it's not. It ain't Ultimecia, though. It's just Gaia. Kind of was expecting Ultimecia. Or something. Arcadion is K-Fa... What? Evil Lilizette, of course. Oh, boy. But, no, yeah. long story short, I do not dislike where the story of Final Fantasy post Dawn Trail is going. I just feel like they didn't give us enough. I think they spent way too much time on things that ultimately do not push forward the overarching narrative. I would have loved to see more, but we didn't get that. Oh, yeah, sorry. Any wrestling references, or most of them are gonna go over my head. It's not that I don't appreciate wrestling as entertainment. It's just, it never grabbed me growing up. How strong is the Warrior of Light, and how strong is the Warrior of Light just as a person in the world of Heidelin? The Warrior of Light is by far the most strongest individual person in the world right now. Like, no one compares to them in terms of raw talent and combat potential. Or at least no one has challenged them in terms of raw combat potential. I would love to have a house or a venue to host me and all you lovely people in the future. So if any of you know a roleplay venue that likes the idea of, I don't know, just having me sit around and talk lore with all of you in the future, let me know. Tell them to ping me in my channel Discord. Estinian definitely is up there, Kuro. Estinian is definitely one of, like, he's S tier, up there with the Warrior of Light for sure. But canonically, the Warrior of Light has beat Estinian more than once. So the Warrior of Light, by just sheer win-loss ratio, is stronger than Estinian. To be fair, Estinian's already had a lot of character growth and just some really good arcs in the story already. I'd be hard pressed to give him too much more than necessary. When was the second time we beat Estinian? When he was possessed by Nidhogg. Yes, I do count that. Boy was super juiced on dragon ether and still couldn't beat us. Estinian, Graha, and Warrior of Light. Yeah, I would argue that the three of them are the most powerful people in the Scions, for sure. Estinian because he's just built different, the Warrior of Light because they're overpowered, and Graha because he has the memories of someone more than 100 years old. True, we had Hraesvelgur's eye, but we only had one of his eyes. Estinian had both of Nidhogg's. Think about that. We only needed one eye to whoop his butt. give us a rematch with Estinian. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Honestly, getting to fight the Dawn Servant in Dawn Trail Story, that was a whole lot of fun. I loved that. Getting to just going back to Tuliolol, being invited back to the throne room and being all just like, hey, what do you need? And he's all like, nothing. I just want to fight you. That was great. Also considering a hog. What do you need? Punch. Exactly. For the Warrior of Light, can they easily beat a sea god? I guess it depends on the god? Well, I mean, we beat up Leviathan. We beat up Leviathan twice. Actually, let's see. Leviathan story. Normal. I mean, heck, if we count the fight over in Shadowbringers, technically we beat him thrice. A Primal's so nice, we beat him thrice. I wish I could summon Leviathan. He was one of my favorite summons growing up as a kid. It can be argued that the Warrior of Light did solo most of their fights leading up to Stormblood and then eventually Shadowbringers. But the game has had moments where it straight up says that like, I think most of you probably remember instances where an NPC like looks at you and says, Warrior of Light, we'll hold down the fort here where you gather your friends to perform this raid or whatever. Like, I definitely remember that during, like, the Crystal Tower stuff back in the day, so... It's not that the Warrior of Light doesn't have friends that they ask for help, it's that you have to look at the text and see, did the NPCs actually say that you had help or not? Otherwise, it could be argued that the Warrior of Light soloed them. Kind of like Thornton. Okay, when you ask that will Ultima return, you need to be a lot more specific. Which Ultima? Because we have a lot at this point. I have seen that theory, and I can't say I subscribe to it just yet. Mostly because we don't know exactly how Kukina's memories got turned into an endless. Like that hinges on everything. I cannot confirm or deny Kukina's fate until I know exactly how they got a hold of her memories. Because if I remember, I haven't like looked back at her cutscenes in a hot minute, but I think she straight up says she died. So, I guess that all depends. Aetherochemical solo. Evilise has been used several times on the servers all over. Yeah, honestly, I was impressed with how they wove the lore of Evilise into the universe of Final Fantasy XIV. It really is a part of this world. It's not just a place or a reference. It's actually part of the storytelling, which I think is great. They did an amazing job with Evilise and Stormblood. Like, can I be real with y'all for a second? Stormblood gets more hate than it deserves. Now, am I saying it's my favorite expansion? No, it isn't. But Stormblood did a lot right. And I'm not going to say that it didn't. EXs are basically fanfiction. Yeah, that's the funny thing about the EXs and ultimates. You have to understand, any fight that you get from the Wandering Minstrel isn't real. He's your hype man. He's canonically hyping you up to have fought a monster much more dangerous than what you actually faced. Which is hilarious to me. Controversial opinion. Stormblood is better than Heavensward, and ARR is also better than. Ooh, that's a tough sell, buddy. That's a tough sell, but I respect it. That's definitely a hot take, but it's a hot take I can respect. Oh man, that's a good one. What about the fight with Clive against Ifrit from 16? You're gonna have a hard time convincing me that any crossover event that isn't directly referenced in the MSQ is canon. Mostly because the crossover events aren't written with the intent of making it part of the world building. Like, most crossover events in 14 are simply they're vehicles to get you crossover items. Like, do you think the writers really care about how like it's being framed? Not really. They're more interested in just getting you your stuff and having a good time, which I don't blame them for. Counterpoint, Ishgard has more lore than Gridania. Yes, Ishgard does have more lore than Gridania. All places have more lore than Gridania because apparently the writers hate Gridania for some reason. I don't get it. I just don't get with all of that. It's ridiculous. Well, Fantasias have always existed in the lore of Final Fantasy XIV. Like, I'm not going to say the Fantasias were, like, not canon, because they have been. The only thing is that the Fantasias we experience in, like, as a gameplay item are way different than how they operate within the actual world and setting. Giant Shantoto. Yeah, that was an interesting event. I think the fate was called Tower of Power or something. Oh, yeah, the Fall Guys event. I really liked the Fall Guys crossover, aside from how the latency of the video game made me collide with, like, hazards and stuff that I clearly dodged. I feel... the Fall Guys event made me feel like I was shadowboxing. Fantasias. No, yeah, so the funny thing about... You have to understand that the lore of Fantasias in the Final Fantasy XIV universe... Like, imagine this for a moment. If Fantasias were as powerful in world as they are in as a video game item, think about how many problems would be fixed almost immediately. Let's say someone is born with, like, say, a congenital disorder. Well, all they have to do is drink a Fantasia and become another race. Boom. Fixed. Oh, are you a Garlean that can't use magic but you want to be a mage? Oh, just drink a Fantasia. Suddenly you can use magic. Fantasias would break the lore of Final Fantasy XIV. Honestly, the Nier raid is closer to canon than most other crossover events, seeing as it's a 24-man raid. Though, I'm not going to say I like that tons, mostly because, well, Nier lore and Final Fantasy XIV lore, they don't get along with each other. Because they're two completely different franchises, surprise, surprise. So, if I was going to say that Nier lore is canon, I would say that Nier lore is canon to 14, kind of like how the lore of Final Fantasy 12 of Ivalice is canon to 14. It's in the universe, but it's clearly not one-to-one. It was made part of the universe. Is it? I've never played the Nier mobile game, so I wouldn't know. I couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you. Does the Word of Light's blessing counter the near salt disease? I don't know what the salt disease is. I couldn't. I haven't actually played all the near games or any of that, so there's a lot of stuff I don't know. Ugh, Drakengard. That's some mind melty storytelling. If what my friends tell me is true. You're absolutely right, Doggo. That's one of the saving graces of the lore that we experience with Nier. Since it's localized on the first, I don't have to think about it. Because it's not part of the source. It's like, oh, but the Nier lore is canon. Okay, well, it's on the first, so screw it. What location needs more lore besides Gridania? Hum. I personally would like a follow-up to what's happening in Evil East right now. Mostly because we know that Ashelia Banagan Dalmasca has been awoken from her magically induced coma. And I kind of want to see where that goes. Mostly because it implies a wide variety of things. But that's just me. That's just me. Tesseract Labyrinth created by Trays in the Infinite. Oh my god. Is it egotistical for me to think that the scribe could offer a Trazen-like monologue to people? He kind of just walks in with a very cocky, like, laugh behind his mask and is just like, I collect them. Memories. Experiences. Moments. This here is one of my favorites. A moment in time where the echo reverberates with all those in attendance, and yet you never understood. Sorry, got a little in character in there for a second. Crossover events. Chrono Trigger. Honestly, Final Fantasy XIV has done so many crossover events, I'm not shocked. Or I wouldn't be shocked if they did any more crazy crossover events. Oh, Bravely Default was a great game. Oh, I loved Bravely Default. The music in that game went so hard. Less remnant stuff at some point we did. True. Azim's Crystal is kind of overpowered, if I'm being completely honest. It's just a literary device that the writers have been using to circumvent the need to explain a variety of things. Simple as that. Which I think is personally kind of funny. Yeah, a game, it's cheat codes for sure. But, no, yeah, it's not that I hate Azim's Crystal and what it's used for. I just feel like it's used too often. I feel like the writers just kind of go out of their way and are just like, oh, why think about it when we can just use Azum's crystal? Meet Azum. Dogo. Wait, do you not know? You want to meet Azum? Who's gonna tell him? Chat, who's gonna tell him? I'm not gonna do it. It would be too easy. Oh, man. Yeah, does he know? I don't know. You're confused. The Warrior of Light is Azum. You are Azum. You are the reincarnation of Azum. Yeah, congratulations, you have met Azum. It's like that, let's see, what's that freaking Spider-Man pointing meme? I think it was like from Aqua Team Hunger Force or something. It's just like, I am Carl. This is Carl Jr. We are all Carl. But it's just Warrior of Light. It's like, or it's Azum. It's like, I am Azum. We are all Azum. No, we were not created. We are. Here's the thing. Everyone in Elpis thought that you were a creation of Azum's because you share the same etheric signature. They could see it. They could tell that you're just like Azum. But they couldn't conceive of the idea that you're a sundered soul. And that's the difference. That's why all of them thought that you were a familiar. Mike Mazowski. Oh, man. I believed in my own life. Honestly, Dogo, I feel like some people, like in the 14 community, have done that with the lore. Like, there's a lot of people that I feel like have just made stuff up. Or misremember, and then instead of going back to like check if they got it right, they just assume and roll with it. So you're not alone, man. You're not alone. I see it all over the place, especially in the comment section of my videos. Holy crap. You should see some of the comments I get. Oh, no, you're totally right, Gavin. I don't blame anyone for misremembering either. This is a huge game with so many different twists and turns when it comes to the lore, which is why I love making videos for this game to kind of like elaborate on everything we experienced together. I just wish people didn't try to correct me with their own headcanon, is all. Because at least with me, I can say that, I can look at my notes and my where I got the stuff from and be like, this is where I learned this from. Where does the Warrior of Light come from? Wherever you want them to have come from. That's the answer. The entire point of the Warrior of Light having a ambiguous backstory is that you get to choose where they came from. Which job in Final Fantasy XIV is the fastest? I'd probably say monk. Just out of thought, yeah, monk, probably. Have I ever been corrected before and noticed I made a mistake? Yes. Yeah, that's happened, I think, twice. Once because it was a typo. It was one of the videos where I was going over the saints of the 12, you know? I accidentally put down the wrong name of the god with the saint, associated saint. I accidentally put down the wrong god's name. And someone in the comment section corrected me saying like, hey, wasn't that god, their patron, actually this person? And I'm like, oh crap, you're right. I took down the video, edited it, like fixed it, and then re-uploaded. I was very grateful for their correction. But no, yeah, it has happened before, but yeah, that's only happened twice as far as I honestly though, for it only to have been 3 years of YouTube and only having like 2 videos that I've had to take down and re-edit, I feel like that's pretty good. I feel like that gives me a 99% accuracy rating on, like, lore or whatever. If that makes sense. Speaking of the Saints, Saints win. You know what? I should return to some of the other video series I haven't touched in a while. And I do apologize for how I do recognize that my content release has slowed. That's mostly because real life has don't get me wrong, I'm not making excuses for myself, but real life has gotten weird for me lately. Just so you know, for reference, by the way, I am not in my office right now. I'm actually recording and streaming to you next to a stairwell because my office is currently undergoing renovations. Or the room I've turned into my office in my apartment is undergoing renovations. So I'm not in the best... Well, I'm not in the most comfortable position to work, I suppose is what I'm saying. But that, combined with a few other things in life, has definitely slowed me down. I will say that. And I do apologize for my videos taking so long. Hopefully, once my office, I can move all my equipment back into my office and buckle down again. I can start hammering out like 2 videos a week again, like I used to. No, yeah, life happens. I'm not going to sit here and complain about it because, well, I feel fortunate enough to be able to make content for you all in the first place, honestly. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and be all like, oh, I can't believe I have to make YouTube videos. Are you kidding me? Compared to like other things I've done in life, like I was a retail manager for years. I would take YouTuber or streamer over retail manager every time. 100%. Hey, Gavin, if you release another video, man, I'll be there to hit the like button all over again, buddy. Because, good lord, like, if none of you have watched Gavin's videos before, he does Pokemon videos on YouTube. Very well made Pokemon videos on YouTube. Very informative and stuff. And he actually invited me to read off the origins of Arceus in one of his videos, which was a whole lot of fun. Do I take notes from side quests? My friend, I have an entire folder dedicated to screenshots I take of dialogue boxes. I have so many screenshots of dialogue boxes from side quests and everything, just in case I need that lore later. I have so much data on my computer related to 14, it's not even funny. Ah, see, Gavin? You got some more subscribers. There you go, buddy. Favorite bits of lore in the game so far? Honestly, I would say that I like job lore the most, mostly because job lore tells us more than just the job. It informs us how the job works, which tells us more about how ether works. It tells us about the place the job is from, so we learn history about that location as well. And it also tells us about the culture behind the job as well. Like, for instance, we don't just learn about warriors and their ability to hit things with an axe really well. We know there's a tribe of them on the northern coast of Eorzea. We know that they're still living in Abalathia Spine. We know that their abilities create etheric simulation via focused primal energies or instincts. Like, we learn so much from just one job. And then you take that across all jobs and you learn so much. There we go. Alamigo. Of all the locations in Final Fantasy XIV, I would argue that Alamigo is the least interesting, mostly because their lore is just... if you think Gridania is a bad place to live, then Alamigo is hell. There is... The amount of bad history Alamigo has outweighs the good history. Man, Alamigo is just a mess of a city-state. Which I think is hilarious, because you have all those NPCs, right? They're shouting over and over about Alamigan pride, Alamigan pride! And I'm sitting here going, excuse me, can you tell me what there is to be proud about being an Alamigan? I'm having trouble finding it. You see, that's the funny thing. It wasn't even the Mad King that started the Autumn War. It was the guy who ruled before him. Like, you have multiple rulers in Alamigo that are just a series of screw-ups. But no, yeah, so brief rundown to any who don't know uh just how bad Alamigo was. It was one of the last city-states to be formed within Eorzea, so it was late to the party. Two, it was formed after, essentially they were just a bunch of displaced clans that beat each other into submission until their country was formed, which I'm not gonna knock against them. That's how most countries are formed, if I'm being completely blunt. But it was a brutal founding, and then they built their entire economy around being a gateway state. And what I mean by that is they taxed and tariffed all the goods and services that went to and from Eorzea and Ilsabard, because they were the bridge between the two continents. Yeah? So, when the clever Lalafell of Ul'dah went over to Limsa Lominsa and was all like, hey, you guys have a bunch of ships. Why don't we get together and hash out a deal? So guess what? Sea trade booms out of nowhere. Well, now that everyone's trading their goods and services via the ocean instead of the land through Girabania, well, now the one thing that Alamigo had going for it is gone. So what do? Their economy's about to collapse, and their economy's about to collapse. So what do? Do they try to think about what else they can do to bolster their finances? Do they think about what other goods or services they can offer their neighbors to make their country desirable again? Do they reflect about what to do next for the future of a country? No. They decide, let's go invade Gridania. Meanwhile, Gridania's over here playing with their trees and their rivers, going la 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 la. Holy crap! Why are you hitting us? What did we do? Gridania is that quiet kid in the lunchroom that didn't bother anyone, yet everyone still hates. He doesn't deserve what he gets. He just gets it. So they start beating up Gridania, and Gridania's all like, what are you doing? Oh, man. So they beat up Gridania, and this is the Autumn War. And all the other city-states in Eorzea looked at that and was like, no, zero tolerance for that. So they united together and essentially dealt a devastating blow to Alamigo's military in one fell swoop. The Eorzean alliance was not having Alamigo's bullcrap. Oh, and I feel it's important to cite during the Autumn War that one of Gridania's most beloved generals was poisoned at peace talks with an Alamigan leader. They committed a war crime and then ran away crying victim. So, the Autumn War concludes, their economy collapses, what do? Well, they kind of just sit there and wallow in despair for a little bit until, guess what? The monks of Girabania come down from Rogger's Reach and they're all like, look, you people got your shit kicked in. So we're going to help you out. We're going to teach you patience, understanding, and compassion. And that's what the monks do. They help get Alamigo back on its feet. And then the Mad King era. Holy crap. The moment Alamigo gets back on its feet, it goes right back to being terrible because of the Mad King. And the Mad King gets so mad that the monks, who didn't want to bend the knee to him, like, basically told him to piss off, that he orders Alamigo to execute the monks, and they just do it. Think about that for a second. The monks that helped their entire society get their crap back together was told to kill the monks by their new king, and instead of everyone saying, no, that's crazy, Rhalgr's Reach gets invaded. Rhalgr's Reach gets invaded, all the monks die, and now... And then, of course, it's only after the monks are gone that they decide, we don't like you as a king anymore, and they rebel against the Mad King. So, and then, of course, Garlemald invades after the Mad King dies, so... Alamigo is just a history of bad decisions. So whenever the story in ARR showed that Gridania doesn't care for Alamigo or Alamigan citizens, I'm with Gridania on this one. You guys started a war, an unprovoked war, and now you're asking for asylum? You're crazy. You're absolutely out of your mind. Will the Warrior of Light go down in the annals of history? Oh, they already have. Yeah, the Warrior of Light has become a historical figure for sure. Yeah, you're correct. The entire reason why most of the Alamigan refugees went down to Ul'dah and skipped over Gridania is because Gridania was having none of their bullcrap. Look at it this way. The elementals are timeless, or ageless, I should say. So to them, the events of the Autumn War are still like yesterday. Like, you wouldn't look at the guy who punched you in the face the other day asking, hey man, can I crash at your place for a little bit? You would slam the door in his face. So yeah, not too surprised what the elementals did with that one. Oh, yeah, exactly. It's just like the dragons. The dragons know how to hold a grudge because the way their memory works is that they don't see time as cause and effect. They see it as one consistent event. So the pain of the Dragon Song War is constantly fresh in their minds. Same thing with the elementals. The only way to get the elementals to let go of a grudge is by appeasing the green tithe. Essentially, you have a tax that you haven't paid. And until you pay that tax, the elementals want their pound of flesh. And to us, or to normal people, that might sound unreasonable, but you have to think, the elementals aren't people. They're spirits. They don't think like you and I do. In fact, they've been around for thousands of years. They've seen all the good and bad that like the races of man has to offer. So, like, imagine trying to tell some senior citizen, "Oh, just get over it, man." Just back in my day, kids used to actually respect their elders. No, you're correct. The elementals still very easily remember the War of the Magi and how terrible that was. That's why they collected and hoarded the White Mage Soul Stones. That's why they only give them to the Pajal. That's the funniest thing about White Mage. The Warrior of Light, as of like the current lore, is the only non-Pajal White Mage. They are entirely unique. It all depends. There's context that suggests that the elementals have been around since the Sundering, but none of the lore has outright stated that they remember or have been around since the Sundering. Or if they have been around since the Sundering, it might not be the same elementals that we know. So, who knows? Well, if a samurai was going to stab a white mage in the back, I think they would have done it during raid already. I mean, that makes the most sense, doesn't it? Honestly, building golems as a white mage would be lore accurate. Like, imagine that. It's like Build-A-Bear, but with something that can punch another creature's face in. Make it happen, Yoshi P. Do fairies exist on the source? If you're asking about, like, the fairies on the first, there's currently no context suggesting that they exist on the first, or the source, in the same way as they do on the first at the moment. I wouldn't be shocked if they did, but currently there's nothing to suggest that they do. Okay, to be fair, the fact that they put that interaction with Slash Dote on Lim Lane was priceless. So funny. Even funnier when you realize that, as far as the lore is concerned, Lim Lane already has the hots for Oshan. And that's why she's not interested. She already has her eyes on a man, y'all. Like, she doesn't want your affection, she wants his. but that's if the lore is to be followed. You're right. The great serpent appearing in the source was super funny. Which kind of makes me wonder, like, what came first. Well, I mean, clearly the serpent from the source came first because reflections, and that's how they work. Yada yada yada. But I'm like, when did the legends start? I suppose. Is Lim Lame pirate Moses? I don't know. To be yes, yes. Every time I get to the final boss of that dungeon, I can't help but go scree. Oh, it's so funny. Apparently, like Yoshi P was shocked that the Western audience thought the Serpent of Ronka memes were so much more funnier than like the Japanese audience. Like, all of the people in Japan look at the Serpent of Ronka stuff and they're all like, it's kind of cute, but it's whatever. Meanwhile, everyone in America and Europe are all going, scree! So funny. Yes, and now my chat is going scree. Yes, hail the Serpent of Ronka. Is the serpent one of Asim's concepts? Honestly, I don't know what Asim would or would not have created if given the chance. I feel like the reason the writers will never tell us what Asim has or hasn't created, mostly because like to tell us what Asim has created would be to inform us more on Asim's personality. And the more we learn about Asim as a person, the less agency you have as a player, mostly because you are Asim. So it's kind of up to you who Asim was. So I think that we'll never know what Asim created or not. Maybe it's up to you. The blue. Oh, are you talking about the Wallaki? Yeah, honestly, it's been refreshing to see that the Wallaki have been brought up, and not just some of the quests, but also some of the some of what are they called? Just like item turning quests and stuff like that. Blue magic is one of those things that, like, I'm glad it's in 14, but it's not a real job, so whatever. I'm willing to agree with that. From what we've understood about Azam as a person so far, he seems to have an innate talent for magic that involves space or the movement through space. What that means as, like, in terms of combat and application, who knows? But teleportation was definitely something that Azam was extremely talented in. Now you're all blue mages. Oh, boy. I'm starting to run out of water. I guess that happens when you talk with people for almost 2 hours straight. I swear someone will deserve. I am waiting for the like 14 convention where you get like a dozen people all dressed up as like the Serpent of Ronka and they all start chasing Yoshi P around. Actually, that's a wonderful theory. So, my friends, I'm going to give you a moment to ask yourselves, what civilization do you think Beastmaster is going to come from? Like, from a lore standpoint, which culture is going to give us Beastmaster? And then I will give you my suggestion or my own theory. So, I want you to guess which one it's going to be. And heck, if you want to guess which one I think it is, go right ahead. You figure that out while I go get while I refill my cup of water. Alright, I'm back. I better see some good suggestions in this chat box, y'all. Alright. Let's see. It's always Alag, the 4th Legion because of Leon, Mericidia, Landis or Alamigo, Modern Garlemald, huh? Doma, Tural, or the Azim Steppe. So that you went far east with that one. Oh, we got a Gridania in there. Dalmasca, Bozia. Well, seeing as Bozia is a crater now, and I guess they can't really teach you much, can they? Huh, interesting. Y'all have some decent theories and suggestions, but none of you have put forward the one that I would nominate. Because my consideration for which country would offer up give us a Beastmaster is one of the first locations that gave us confirmation of beast taming within the lore of Final Fantasy XIV, back in A Realm Reborn. Nope, it's not Ul'dah. No, Ul'dah didn't tame beasts so much as they enslaved people. They enslaved the Gigas, and they enslaved creatures for their Colosseum. No, wasn't Garlemald, because what they're renowned for is technological development, not beast taming. Alamigo? Nope. I just told a story on how Alamigo sucked. They do not have any Beastmasters over there. So, nope, not Ishgard. How many of you have the Corel mount? I want y'all to read the description here. Because this lore has been around from the very beginning. That's right. Thavnair was, or rather Razat Han, in its totality, was suggested to be where Beastmasters were. It's one of the oldest references to beast taming. Oh, that's fine. You don't need to look. I put it up on screen for you. I'll admit, ever since I read this card for the Corel, back during my times playing ARR, I had a feeling Beastmaster was going to be part of 14 at some point. Is it a limited job? Yeah. It's not going to be as popular as everything else, but I wasn't entirely wrong. Well, Though, to be fair, I don't know if I'll ever be as right as I was when it came to calling Viper. Oh, that was a knockout of the park. That was a ace. That was a hole in one. I'm still quite proud of that. No one believed me. No one, but when I said that Twin Blades were had an extremely high likelihood of being the next main weapon in Final Fantasy XIV, everyone called me crazy. Everyone said, like, no, it's gonna be Corsair. Corsair's gonna be the next job. All the evidence points to Corsair. And I'm sitting there going, no. No evidence points to Corsair. What are you talking about? And then everyone got mad at me. They're all like, oh, you just don't get it. It's gotta be Corsair. And then Viper got released, and I'm like, so what was that about being Corsair? And everyone else was all like, oh, well, there's still another job. There's still another job. And I looked at the t-shirt he was wearing with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I'm like, let's see. Michelangelo, Donatello, Raphael. It's gonna be Pictomancer. He has a shirt with the names of history's greatest artists on it. It has to be Pictomancer. Lo and frickin' behold, it was Pictomancer. Oh, it was cathartic. Look, when you get enough people in the comments section saying that you're dumb as dirt and that you don't know what you're talking about, and then for Yoshi P himself to reveal weapons and jobs that you call later down the line, it's total vindication. It just goes to show that, no, I do pay attention to what Yoshi P and his team have been doing. Like, trust me on this. Trust me. Honestly, I would love to see Blitzball as a as like a mini game in the Gold Saucer. You know, like just a little mini game in the Gold Saucer. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Why not? Who cares? To be fair, Hakuzo, anything is predictable so long as there is a pattern to recognize, and the developers for Final Fantasy XIV have created very clear patterns. All I had to do to figure out Twin Blade was extremely likely was to follow just how they've been releasing jobs from the very beginning. And all the data I had said that this was going to be what we're going to get. And I'm like, okay. Would you like to? I loved putting that meme together. That was such a great... Okay, so that's the thing, right? Like, as the scribe, I really enjoy sharing lore, going over data, and just covering as much as I can for all of you, just in a very professional and down-to-earth manner. But as a person, like, as the person behind the mask, I like having a good laugh, and that's essentially what the meme videos I make are. I make those videos just because it's just a fun way to get the really dumb thoughts out of my head and onto paper. Any ideas on what the next tank and physical DPS? Personally, if I'm being 100% honest, what I would prefer seeing is no more new jobs for now. I don't want to see any new jobs for Final Fantasy XIV. What I want to see is for them to expand upon and improve on what we already have. I feel like the jobs, not only have the jobs become, in my personal opinion, a lot more boring over the past couple expansions, but without the job lore quests, like, we have nothing to work on to work off of anymore. So instead of new jobs, I'd rather they just improve upon what we already got. I want to see them expand upon what we have. Because I'm telling you right now, from my lore table to you, the jobs as we experience them in Final Fantasy XIV are nothing compared to what they're capable of in lore. Like, the lore of every job is so much more deep and nuanced than what you experience gameplay-wise. It's crazy. Yeah, I'll admit I have mixed feelings on role quests. Do I understand why they started doing role quests? Yes, I do. Do I also think that this game has been making so much money that they can afford to, or they could have afforded to keep doing job quests? Yeah. The only reason I rushed all of Dawn Trail's role quests is just in case they had any lore that I was going to need later down the line. But they didn't, so surprise, surprise. It's an indie company. Yeah, an indie company that's keeping the entirety of Square Enix afloat. Hold on, no. No, why were you wearing bondage? Gavin? Why were you wearing... don't pull your sword out onto the table and like nothing just happened. Is there something you want to tell the class? Oh my god. That's your healer outfit? Oh my god. Unbelievable. Oh, that's great. This is gonna be on the test. Oh my god. Actually, yeah, that is a good question. It's like, if the Hrothgar wears full plate armor as a Dark Knight, but slutty biker outfits on their healer, what does that mean about? Oh my god. What is with Hrothgar players and their hatred for clothing? What? That posture isn't helping. Well, it's definitely an improvement. Oh my god. Hey, Gav, being a furry has nothing to do with it. Oh, man. Honestly, though, you might be right, Max Time. I think the entire reason Hrothgar might not be the biggest fans of full outfits is because they might overheat, depending on the climate. And he blew himself up. Great, people are killing themselves in front of me now. Lovely. Another sacrifice for the altar of ether. If Vieira didn't exist, I'd be a cat. Actually, like, that's how me and my friends differentiate between Hrothgar and Makote. Makote are cat boys. Hrothgar are cat men. You see, there's a difference there. Cat boys, cat men. Eh? Yeah. Shoots fire. Oh my gosh, there were so many people asking for Lupin to be a playable race when Stormblood came out. There are people that still ask for it. And what they don't realize is that the character models for the Lupin are literally just the Hyur body with a unique head frame. Like, it really is that simple. It's just a Hyur with a wolf head, as far as, like, the in-game model goes. I will be honest, I'm surprised we got Hrothgar instead of Lupin, simply because, like, we already had Makote, right? We already had cat people. And then we got bunny people with the Vieira. The Lupin would have been, like, the perfect way to, like, introduce canids into the pot. Like, we got canines if we added Lupin. So instead of going cat, bunny, canine, we went cat, bunny, cat. I don't know. I just feel like it would have been more interesting if they did that, personally. Round out the furry trifecta. Exactly. Exactly. You gotta give furries the flexibility, you know? Hey, look, I've seen how people look up at Hakuro. You know, that Lupin that you meet in Stormblood who's like twice the size of everyone around him. Yeah, I've seen what people say about him. Uh-huh. Oh, hilarious. I will admit, I thought the Aura was a wonderful addition to the lore of Final Fantasy XIV. Because the starting races in ARR were essentially the same starting races in Final Fantasy XI. It was the same stuff. So when the Aura were introduced in Heavensward, I was like, you know what? This is actually kind of great. Are there any Warrior of Light fan clubs in lore? Not officially, but I guarantee. But the Warrior of Light does have cheerleaders, like Alize and Grahatia. The Warrior of Light definitely. Do they have a fan club? Probably not. Do they have fans? Yes, absolutely they do. I'm gonna be honest. When I saw all the people before Vieira came out, when everyone was asking for it, I was a little annoyed. Mostly because, like, we got Aura, right? And Aura was a race that was unique to Final Fantasy XIV, and I thought that was really cool. I wanted to see more of that. I wanted to see more, like, unique takes from the developers for this game and this world. But then everyone was all like, no, we need Vieira. Put Vieira in the game. We need Vieira. And I'm like, really? So, heck, you can't even say that the Hrothgar are unique to Final Fantasy XIV because the Hrothgar are simply inspired by the Ronso of Final Fantasy X. So, in a way, the Aura remained the only unique playable race within 14. At least the Aura lore is pretty amazing. Speaking of races, I think that it's hilarious that we have two kinds of bird people in Final Fantasy XIV. We have the Ixal and we have the Vanu Vanu, or the Hanu Hanu, depending on where you are in the world, right? But they're two ends of a spectrum. The Ixal are really skinny and lanky bird people that squawk every 2 seconds. And then you have the Vanu Vanu, who are very tall and fat. I mean, sure, you could say that it's all, like, fluff. But still, though, the silhouette is fat. So, you got really... Like, you have the anorexic bird people, and then you have the overweight bird people, which I just think... We don't have the in-between bird people, which I think is hilarious, personally. I like making fun of that. Zayla or Rain? If I was to play an Al Ra, it would definitely be a Rain. Definitely be a Rain. Mostly because I just, it would fit, I like its lore just a little bit better. Zayla can't read. Yeah, you can't have a lore accurate scribe be a Zayla because he needs to be educated. Oh, man. I hate how accurate that is. Oh, that's great. I love that. Oh, man. But no, yeah, Final Fantasy XIV has an amazing cast of characters and cultures and stuff. Uh, I would argue that some of the more interesting things they've come up with have been unique to Final Fantasy XIV. Like Ravana, when he was introduced back in Heavensward, I loved Ravana as just a design. How he goes between like fighting you with 4 swords to 2 swords to just punching you like a monk. And then when he like does his phase transition, he goes straight up Viper, smashing his 2 blades together and dances on you. Like Ravana was such a cool primal back in the day. Yeah, the first hint at dual blades. Before the idea of twin blades was even a glimmer in the developer's eye, we had that. Yeah, you see, exactly. Rejoice in the glory of combat. That's easily one of my favorite lines uh, in any of the trials in 14. It's the delivery on that line was amazing. But since it's been almost 3 hours into the stream so far, I suppose I can spend the last. I think I'm gonna call it after this because it's almost 9 o'clock for me, and there are some things I need to work on before working on videos tomorrow. So I'm going to finish off tonight by addressing my personal theory for what's going on with the Final Fantasy XI lore and story based off of what I've seen so far. I could be entirely wrong, but I could be right too. And if I am right, you can go back to this and say, like, yeah, he called it. So, do all of you remember when you were unlocking the, like, ghosty, spooky dungeon over in Living Memory, specifically what they said about there being multiple different, like, worlds and places created by Electrope that were lost during Everkeep's transition to the source? Because I remember them saying that. And it makes sense to me that when that backstabbing jerk was floating between realms that he accidentally bumped into possibly one of the worlds that they had created from Electrope for entertainment purposes. I think, personally, based off of context clues, that Final Fantasy XI in Final Fantasy XIV is, in fact, an MMO. I think Final Fantasy XI or Vana'diel as a place is something that the Endless played and explored. And that's what we're looking at. A lost world cut apart from Everkeep during its transition to the Source. And the reason I think that isn't just because that it's made of Electrope. You can argue it's made of Electrope because he made it from Electrope, which is fair. But the reason I say that is because all of the NPCs and characters and things that you see in that world, they're using video game lingo. Where would he have gotten the idea of that lingo from? A Mumulja from Tural wouldn't know what any of those sentences or words means, unless the people he encountered in that Final Fantasy XI world were players in a video game. He is not copying Final Fantasy XI the world. He is copying Final Fantasy XI the game. That is my current theory for what Final Fantasy XI is in our 24-man raid series. Whether that holds true or not in the future is completely subject. But that is my current theory. Well, dreamed or whatever, potato. The point is, like, he created characters with words and phrases that he would not have encountered in his own world or any regular society. They specifically used video game lingo. Lingo that I remember back when I was playing Final Fantasy XI. Exactly. If it even exists in the first place. It could be simply a realm that the Endless played and enjoyed, much like all the other places that we've seen. I do not think that what he encountered was the actual Vana'diel, like the actual world. Because there's too many things suggesting that what he encountered was a game, not a reality. No, yeah. Like, that's the thing about Final Fantasy XIV. It has ruthlessly been appropriating the lore, worlds, and set pieces of other Final Fantasy games, like, throughout its creation. The Crystal Tower in ARR, that's Final Fantasy 3. You had the Eden Raids in Shadowbringers, that's Final Fantasy 8. You have all the stuff happening right now in Dawn Trail, it's all Final Fantasy 9. The Hrothgar, that's the Ronso from Final Fantasy 10. Ivalice, Final Fantasy Tactics and 12. The, what's it called? The, 200 floor dungeon. Why is the name escaping me at the moment? But, no, yeah, that was Tactics Ogre. Yeah, the Pelu Pelu are a reference to Final Fantasy 10-2. 10-2. Like, Final Fantasy 14 rarely has an original thought. Yeah, Palace of the Dead, there it is. Palace of the Dead is a Tactics Ogre reference. But, like, that's what, when I say I want to see the developers embrace unique ideas and concepts, that's what I mean. Like, everything, most of the lore and set pieces and places that you encounter in Final Fantasy XIV have been inspired by either real world places or places in other Final Fantasy games or other games in general. I want to see the developers embrace unique concepts instead of just constantly referencing other popular material. Because that's what they do most of the time. Honestly, the only Final Fantasy games that I haven't really... Let's see. Final Fantasy IV was referenced in Endwalker. Final Fantasy 1 was referenced... like everywhere, pretty much. We don't really have tons of 2 references outside of cosmetic stuff that we've been given. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have Gilgamesh, which is a Final Fantasy V reference. So 5. 6. Do we have a lot of 6 stuff? We don't have tons of 6 stuff. We barely have any 7 stuff outside of Materia. Like, Materia is a giant Final Fantasy VII reference, but our Materia doesn't work nearly like how theirs does. So 8 was Shadowbringers, 9, Dawn Trail, 10, Hrothgar, Pelu Pelu, stuff like that. 11, we have the 11 raid. 12, Ivalice. 13, the less of 13 that's in Final Fantasy 14, the better. I'm sorry. I know some people love Final Fantasy 13, but good lord, I just could not take those characters and story seriously. We did have the Final Fantasy 13 crossover event, for sure. Same with the Final Fantasy 15 crossover event. Oh my gosh. Look, I've nothing, it's not nothing personal against Final Fantasy 13. It's just the fact that Lightning reads like, to me, Lightning as a character reads like someone put Squall and Cloud on a table and tells the writer, okay, now make these characters but a girl. Without ever explaining why those characters were popular in the first place. Oh my gosh. that and Saz, just, he doesn't even compare to Barrett. Like, let's be honest. Jeez, what was that one kid's name that was super annoying in 13? Noel, was it? See, I don't even remember. He was the whiny little kid that ended up getting Alexander as a summon spirit. Oh, Hope, there it is. Yeah, him. Hope, he was so whiny. He was so obnoxious. He was so whiny. Oh my gosh. Oh my god, Hope. Oh, man, poor Gavin. I'm kind of just ripping him apart at the moment unintentionally. You grew up with Final Fantasy 13? Screw your Final Fantasy 13. Oh, you identified with Hope? Screw you, Hope. Oh, I'm sorry, Gavin. I'm sorry, man. Oh, jeez. Now, 13. Well, I think my biggest gripe against Final Fantasy 13 was because the way they told that story was completely incorrect. Um. You know how you could play any of the other like Final Fantasy games and you essentially had a good idea of what was going on and why because the characters and the setting kind of told you the story as you played. Like Final Fantasy X is a good example. Titus, from the very beginning, is narrating about the events of the game, his experiences, stuff like that. And you were as ignorant as Titus was. You were learning as he learned. So there was that connection. Final Fantasy 13, on the other hand, has lore cards. Unless you pause the game and go into a menu to read a block of text, you would have no idea what the location you're at is or why it does what it does. And that's my biggest gripe against Final Fantasy 13. Like, why is the most important aspect of your character building and world building in text boxes? That was my biggest gripe against Final Fantasy 13. True, and Final Fantasy 13 is just one long hallway. Like, there was no exploration or retracing yourself. Now, to be fair, Final Fantasy X was kind of a long hallway too, but at least later on, after you get the airship, you can go back to old zones and re-explore them to get new stuff. Like, there was an incentive to go back, retrace your steps, and figure things out. In Final Fantasy 13's case, nah. You don't retrace your steps. There's no exploration. Just go, 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 go. Final question. What does the scribe think of Tudal and Alexandria? Well, I'm about to wrap up for the night, so I suppose I can answer that in character. Yeah, here, give me a second. I'm gonna get a drink of water and, I don't know, put on the mask. Terrell has been absent from world history for so long that people almost forgot it existed. To know that the people in this continent not only survived but thrived across hundreds, possibly thousands of years is heartwarming in a way. It just goes to show that no matter how difficult things get, no matter how interesting curveballs that history tries to throw at you become, there are ways to farm through and emerge on the other side of any calamity. I'm not going to say that Tural's history is gentle. The Yokoi are guilty of many abhorrent things, but I would also be hesitant to say that they didn't get what they deserved. I cannot blame them for their current state and their feelings as such because of that. But thanks to the efforts of the Dawn Servant, he has done an amazing job at not only bringing his people together, but showing that there is a better way to live than constantly fighting with one's neighbor. Tural has only known a perpetual state of survival for centuries. And it's only now that they finally know that there is something better for them. I, for one, can't wait to see what they do, not only for themselves, but for the rest of the star. Especially since not only have they finally realized who they are, but what they mean to the rest of the world. As for Alexandria, I have a hard time offering them my sympathies. That might be because I'm jaded and understand the trials and tribulations of the common folk throughout the rest of the world, but they have been isolated. Electrope has given them luxuries that few people within the star would ever hope to understand. And the very concept of creating soul cells is dangerous. What convinced people that the enslavement of the immortal spirit was a good idea is terrifying. That people are prepared to essentially chain down the people they once knew and loved for the sake of their own peace of mind is disturbing. But then again, they don't know they're doing it, for the most part. Their regulators wipe their memories of any and all other people that have them. Sure, it's possible that they understand that some people are born with Levin sickness and that their society isn't perfect. But then you must ask yourself, how many people have died of Levin sickness that they don't remember? How many people have met unfortunate ends to their own society that they cannot recall? They are ignorant of their own horror. That is why I find Alexandria as a location or a concept to be terrifying. If it was up to me, I would tear down the dome and completely abolish their soul cell system. But that would cause cultural shock on a level that would, well, it would break them, I think. Needless to say, I hope the Warrior of Light and the Signs of the Seventh Dawn continue to ease the Alexandrians out of their current system. Because what they are experiencing, or what you experience from Alexandria, is not simply a difference of culture, but an affront to life itself. Will they change? And will they change for the better? That is for time to tell. All I know for certain is that when it does happen, I will be there watching. And as always, I will continue to do as I do best and relay my findings to you all as best I can. So, To all of you that have participated in my first ever stream today, I offer you my thanks. This has been an experience, and I've learned a lot from everything that's happened today. I hope you're prepared to go over more lore involving not only Alexandria, but the condition of societies in Final Fantasy XIV that have experienced isolation and ignorance to some degree. And until that day comes that we discuss these topics, I wish you well in all of your adventures. And as always, stay safe, my friends. And scene. How was that? Yeah, 3 hours of streaming, and let's see. Yeah, it looks like the stream held up pretty well throughout the entire thing. So that's good. I'll definitely look into the lag and latency stuff that y'all brought up earlier in the stream. I'll keep an eye out for that. And I don't know, maybe I can try streaming on Twitch as well. Who knows? All I know for certain is that I will definitely need 2 monitors. Because trying to navigate my menus while playing Final Fantasy XIV is not going to be a thing. I cannot do that. I cannot do that. So, I'll invest in another monitor. I will move all the stream stuff over to that. And I will try to keep a focus on that stuff in the future. And I promise, like, maybe we'll do more than simply sit around on a table the entire time. I understand to some people that's not fun to watch. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll just go around questing sometime in the future. Who knows? But no, thank you all so much for your time today. This has been an absolute delight, and you all are amazing. What did you miss? You missed the stream. Oh man. But yeah. So, let's see. A walking meeting. Let's see. We got up to about 80 viewers at one point. That's not bad for a first stream, I think. For a first time ever stream, that can't be terrible, huh? Yeah, I think we did pretty good, everyone. I think we did dang good. I guess the only difference now is trying to decide what games to play and what things to do the next time I decide to do this. If you all want to see, like, Theory Thursdays become a consistent thing in the future, be sure to let me know on my channel or in my personal Discord or any other social media I'm a part of. Because I'm not against doing this more often. I just need to know that you all are interested is all. Because at the end of the day, that's who I do all this for. I do it for all of you. All the script writing, all the editing and footage collection, it's for you guys. So let me know what you'd like to see in the future. Yeah. I don't do that in any of my videos, but yeah, sure. Don't forget to smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this with your friends. Can we get this channel up to 50,000 subs? Can we get this channel up to 100,000 subs? I want this channel to have 1 million likes! Thank you for the reminder. Dogo, are you not subscribed? Oh, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, I need to watch my cursing because when I'm just hanging out with friends, I curse like a sailor sometimes. So I gotta watch out for that. When I get really comfortable and when I'm just having a good time, I curse like crazy. Mostly because I'm just kind of having fun. No, but that's the thing though. If I'm cursing or if I'm not minding my manners, you know I'm having a good time. You know that if I'm acting super casually around you, that means that I like you, or I like the cut of your jib. So if I ever like get have a fun back and forth with you, it's not because I'm trying to be mean. It's because I like you. Oh my god. But no, yeah, I have to send. The scribe has to be censored in more ways than one. Oh man, but 3 hours of stream, that was lovely. So, to all of you that have stuck around from the very beginning, thank you so much for your time. And I'm gonna have a late dinner. I'm gonna have a late dinner, and then I'm gonna make sure the script I have drafted today is ready for recording tomorrow. As always, I look forward to seeing you in all the upcoming content. And if you're not part of the YouTube Discord, links are in the description of every video. Come and hang out. I'm there, mostly, when I'm not having to rip you all apart from arguing with each other in the comments. Oh, that's great. Alright. I think that is going to be that. And you all have an amazing night. Have an amazing weekend. Because the weekend starts tomorrow. So take care of yourselves and stay safe for me. Alright. Ciao.